Uh, can you expound on your thoughts on why it's important not just to think small and play small?
Oh, I feel like that could be an entire podcast episode of its own. Um, I am going to go deep here. So if those who are listening are like, meh, okay, fast forward for like 10 minutes and then check back in. Um, I know that the people living on the earth today were saved to live on the earth today, um, because they were known. Each one of our skills and abilities are known, and the divine creator of the universe needed our combination of skill sets right now because he knows what people are dealing with. He knows how they're hurting. He knows what they're struggling with. He knows that they need to be celebrated in their wins. And and he knows that there is a far greater day for this earth coming than we have ever known. And he picked us to show up and to be here right now. And so there's a counter force because there's opposition in all things, because for every force, there is an equal and opposite force that engages. And so there's an equal and opposite force out there acting to keep us from helping people and to keep us from preparing for the fantastic things that are in our future. And so instead of sometimes that opposition comes to us and tells us we're nothing. Sometimes that opposition comes to us and tells us that nobody would ever value our skills or abilities. Sometimes that force comes to us that we have made too many mistakes and there's no hope and we can't change. And sometimes that voice comes to us and say, "Don't be you. You're scary. Don't do what you do because no one will like you." Because you're too intense, you're too much. Or I mean that's what I've heard my whole life. Wow, you're too intense, you're too much. Back down, slow down, don't do that. But for other people, he says you're too quiet. What you have to offer won't make any difference. No one will ever care. And guess what? Whether you're on the too loud side of the spectrum or the too quiet side of the spectrum, that voice is lying because you are exactly what you are meant to be. You are exactly what is needed. And when we play small or when we don't play us, we miss out on helping the tapestry of people who've been put in our lives who need exactly what we have to offer. Because I was born in Cache Valley, Utah, because there are people in Cache Valley, Utah who need my brand of awesome. And Nathan was born in his town that he grew up in because he has things that only he can offer with his brand of awesome. And my coworkers all were born and are brought to this point for the brand of awesome that they have to offer. Because this life is a beautiful tapestry organized where threads match at just the right place to bring the perfect color that's needed to bring the beauty of that scene out. Or different threads are interwoven so that they support each other so there are no holes. And if your thread that is just your color, I'm pretty sure that mine, sometimes it's magenta, sometimes it's chartreuse, and sometimes it's bright mint green. I'm a cool, magical, rainbowy thread. It changes all the time. Whatever color, whatever thread strength you are, is exactly what was meant in that spot of the tapestry. But if you don't play true to your DNA and what you're made up of, that tapestry isn't what it could be. And so that's why we play big. That's why we show up. Because I promise you, you are in your circumstance for the very reason that you can change someone's life. And it's really sad if you look back and realize that you could have been what they needed but you were so afraid that you weren't you. And it's the flip side, opposite of that, is knowing that you showed up exactly for that person, exactly the way that they needed, so that they shined, because it's a ripple effect that goes out. I help one person, that person helps 10 people, and those 10 people help hundreds of people. I
Mhm,
might never not ever meet them,
mhm.
but 1,000 people's lives are different because one person showed up the way that they are.
Yeah. Okay. So my thoughts on why it's super important is pretty much along the lines of yours. And in addition, if you think too small, it's just not as um motivating. You just like, what's the point? It's not that big of a deal. But when the stakes are actually impactful, then even when you're not quite feeling like you want to do it, because a lot of times I don't feel like doing the stuff that I said that I was going to do, when there's actual impact that might be missing when you don't do it, that helps you stay true to your goals and be able to keep going, when especially when things get hard.
Mhm. Being yourself, and the thing is ourselves are actually really awesome, and we think big thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think big thoughts, there's a quote that says, like, better to shoot for the moon and hit the barn than to shoot for the pigsty and land in it. When we shoot for the moon, even when we land on the barn, we're still in a better place than when we started.
Mm-hmm.
And so it might look like a failure because we didn't end up where we wanted to, but we put ourselves in better places when we shoot high for ourselves.
Never heard that version. I've heard shoot for the moons. So if you miss, you might land among the stars. And then my favorite version of that is actually, I won't have a problem if you aim high and miss, but I'm going to have a real problem if you aim low and hit.
Yes.
So that's
So
my
weird.
favorite version of that. But yours was pretty funny. I like that one. So on the note of having an impact, what was